YouTube, this guy here, and I'm going to be doing a video on decks I think are worthy of picking up after the ban list and post Flame of Destruction. You know, that we're going to get our ban list after Flame of Destruction. So assuming you know the boosters are coming out before Worlds, I think these decks are probably going to be, you know, cards you want to pick up now before, you know, those boosters do come out and before the ban list comes out, and then they like sort of skyrocket. It's not so much the deck itself makes the cards skyrocket, it's other decks that can use the cards that will make it skyrocket. So I just want to throw that out there. I want to talk about the first deck here. Royal Chalice. Out of all the decks, I think this one here probably has the highest ceiling. Granted, yes, it has a highest ceiling, but it also takes a lot of skill to use. Just the combos it has a lot of combos that you can do. You know, being able to master those combos, you know, having the skill level to use this deck, you know. Beginning players definitely would not recommend this deck. Advanced players, you know, skilled players, I'm sure if once you master it, you're going to love this deck. They're not going to hit it. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows that. They're not going to hit Royal Chalice itself. So it's a safe deck to use. I mean, even if they do somehow hit the deck, you know, it's splashable with, you know, some other decks like Mech Knights, Invoke. Well, not so much Invoke. Invoke's probably going to get hit, I'm sure. But, you know what I'm saying, though. It's a splashable deck. So, I mean, you can splash it basically in a bunch of other NGs that, you know, you can make that deck run. Just having the Kaiju, you know, Kaiju and Waterfront is good. It's real good. I mean, I'm going to negate 3 times, basically, is what that deck says. And you got to get over that on top of your other cards that they have. And they're probably going to put on board. The draw power against the Sea of this deck is insane. I mean, especially with the Link Bound now out, they're going to be able to recycle their Link monsters, which is kind of good. That's what I said in my box opening, or not box opening, but the sneak peek. I think Link Bound, a lot of Link decks like Royal Chalice is probably going to be running that card. I would recommend it. You being able to recycle your Link monsters and draw and then continue your plays. You know, get your combo pieces faster. Recovery, definitely a recovery card late game. I don't think I would recommend running 3 of it. Probably like 1 or 2. Test it, see what you like. Maybe 3. But I would see myself using like 1 or 2 because it's better late game than anything. World Chalice, on the other hand, though, I think they probably would run 3 for the simple fact. Turn 1, they're dumping Link monsters in the grave like it's like no tomorrow. So even if they draw 3, they could easily just recycle their Link monsters they just put in the grave turn 1 and then just keep going and going and going. So look out for that combo because I'm sure that's going to be a combo people are going to be using for that deck. But anyways, yeah. Beginning players that's coming into the game, you don't know the game that well, do not recommend this deck. But experienced players, skilled players, take a look at this deck. You're probably going to be surprised at how well this deck will do next format. Next deck I want to talk about is Lair of Darkness, Rocks, Paleozoics. This is probably my favorite deck out of this whole list. I'm actually considering probably running this on top of the Altergeist. Yeah, Altergeist ain't going to be on this deck on this list because I think that's going to be like Terra 1.5 deck. People are going to be using, so it's going to be sort of meta. So this doesn't count for this list. This is more like road decks that people are not going to expect. You know, if you're going to like a major tournament, it's like, why are you using this deck? And then you realize you're going to lose because you don't know what the deck does. Frogs Paleozoics, it's a control-based stun deck. So, I mean, if you like control-based stun, this is probably the deck you want to use, pick up. It does lose to evenly match, so be aware of that. I would build it to where, you know, you don't lose to evenly match. With Imperials coming out, Imperials is probably going to help this deck out a lot. Being able to negate, you know, the evenly match with that card is good. So, I mean, that's probably going to be your alpha evenly matches in Imperials. So, yeah, it's an $85 card. I understand that. Budget players, you don't have to use it. You can use other cards to out the evenly match. But, I mean, that Imperials card gives this deck, like, you know, the competitive edge it needed. because that's what stopped me from you know competing with this deck and bringing this deck to like locals. Is even the match was running around and I lose the really match and I couldn't forget any really match I lose. Now with Imperials out, I'm probably gonna definitely run that card at 3. I'll probably spend the money for it because it needs that card desperately. But yeah, Lure of Darkness, Frog, Pilly, Azoics. I would probably pick that up. Next deck, Metafloat FAs. Right, basically any FA deck. FA decks are probably the second highest ceiling on this list. Because the deck, what the deck can do, the more support it's probably going to get. I'm assuming it's getting more support with Dragster coming out on Flame of Destruction. It gives that deck that negation it desperately needs turn 1. So it does give it a turn 1 play now if it does want to go turn 1. In my opinion, the videos I've seen with FAs, because I don't play FAs at all, I don't know much about the deck itself. I've just watched videos on it, FA players, discussed with them on it. And a lot of people told me the Metafloat FAs is probably the best one to run right now until Sorcerer and Needle Fiber comes out, because we don't have that right now. Sadly, we thought we were going to get it. We thought, but it was not to be. I guess we have to wait. But until then, yeah, Metafloat FAs is probably the best deck to pick up right now on a competitive level. Future level, I would just pick up the FA cards in general, just to get ready for that Needle Fiber and Sorcerer. So when we do get it, you're ready for it. Because I think FAs are probably going to be at that point the deck everyone's going to be playing. It's probably going to be meta. I'm predicting it's going to be meta because it's really strong. FA, Metaflows / any FA deck. This next deck here, Spyro Nightmares. Spyros in themselves, they're good. With Nightmares, it just gives them another threat for us to worry about, which we really don't need more threats besides that sleeper and the super agents, the helixes, the boards they can build. It's kind of insane, and then throwing now Nightmare in that mix, I can see that becoming overwhelming. I can see people playing this deck a lot. So being aware of that, the Spyro's being cheap, the Nightmare's not so cheap, but I mean it would be worth and putting your money investing into this deck. Because, I mean, this deck could only get better. If they hit Nightmares, which I don't see happening at all, not anytime soon, the deck, I mean, they just released the box set, and the box set's not even released yet. So, I mean, it's a safe investment to pick up this deck and play it next format. I can see this deck being competitive. I can see you topping a lot with this deck. If you want to get your invite quickly, this is probably the deck. I would recommend this deck being used. It's unexpected. No one's going to expect Spyros from you, so... Unless you're me and you're thinking ahead and you're going, oh, Spyro's going to do something. Anyways, next deck. I mean, out of all these decks, this deck would probably be the deck I would pick up if I was a new player. Morels. Morels is probably the, like I said, the best deck to pick up if you're a new player. Because it's a deck people are sleeping on, I think. I don't hear a lot of people discussing Morels. We just got Sekka Light. Sekka Light helps this deck significantly. Before they have that card, it was already monster heavy deck. That card just makes it where you just run monsters, which is not a big deal for this deck. This deck can just run the hand traps, which is what I've seen people just using hand traps to make up for the spell and trap lackluster. But it really doesn't need it. I mean, I'd rather have the draw power and consistency over the spells and traps. So, new, pick up the Morels. Experienced players, I mean, it's not a bad deck. Easy wins. I mean, who's going to expect it? I mean, and if you're skilled with it, it's really good. All right, next deck, BAs. BAs are never going to die. We're going to confirm that here. They're not going to hit Dante, not until the Link monster comes out. if they haven't hit Dante by now, they're not going to hit it at all. So, I mean, this is probably the safest deck to pick up. Any boundless, you don't have to worry about, it getting hit anytime soon. It's not going to get anytime soon. And it's competitive. I mean, there's people that has talked with BAs. So, I mean, you're probably not going to win any, major events because, the deck's not the best deck in the world, but it can get you what you want, which is probably invites and top places and, that's all most people care about is just getting your invite. BAs will get you your invite, I'm sure. So I would pick up BAs, do your thing, get used to the deck because once you get your link monsters, that deck's going to be like really good. So BAs, that's the safest pickup if you want to think safe and you just don't worry about any ban list from here on out. You don't want to worry about your deck getting hit. BAs is the deck to get, the safest deck to get. These next decks I'm gonna be discussing is more for casual players, not so much competitive players. Maybe heroes, which is the next one I'm gonna be talking about. Heroes. Heroes, yeah, can be competitive at a point, but it's just a slow deck. Unless you turbo out Darklaw, this deck really isn't all that great. Darklaw is the only the only reason why this deck would be competitive, really, especially if Inferno has become a thing in TCG and it becomes the deck to beat. Then here I can see Heroes actually, sliding into some top cuts and maybe winning some events because Darklaw is that strong against that deck, especially turn one. So if Infernoids do, blow up the meta here and it becomes like, the deck to beat and, we can't beat this deck, hero players are probably going to be drooling out of their mouths right here. Like, oh yeah, here comes my Darklaw, and then it's going to be Darklaw City. Same with BAs. They can run Darklaw themselves if they run Mass Change too. So, that's where you see a lot of players trying to, input Darklaw if Inferno H2 become that powerhouse deck that people think it can be. Basically, pick up Darklaws is what I'm saying here. Pick up Darklaws just to be ready for that Infernoid slugfest we're probably going to have if it happens. Darklaw's cheap, so I mean, there's no reason not to pick it up and to have your disposal sometimes. So, anyways, next deck, Counter Fairies. What a trolly deck this is. This would be the deck I would probably be salty if I ever lost to is Counter Fairies. It's just such an unfair deck. Not so much unfair as competitive wise. It's not going to do anything. It's too slow. We know this. But I mean, if you're not ready for it, you don't know what the deck does. If you ever lost to this deck, you're probably going to be salty. So if you want to make people salty, you want to troll, you want to be that player that ruin someone's day, Counter Fairies is probably the deck to pick up. If you're coming in this game and you just want to have fun and you want to ruin people's days, Counter Fairies. Pick up Counter Fairies. It's a cheap deck. It does what it wants you to do, which is troll. It can become a problem card if you got it going. So Counter Fairies, if you're that troll that I know there's some trolls out there. I know who you are. Yeah. Counter Fairies. Pick up Counter Fairies if you're coming into the game. Or if you're just that troll that's been hiding in your basement and you're just deciding to come out. Counter Fairies. Alright, next deck. I really wasn't going to discuss this deck because, in my opinion, I don't care about this deck. It's not my play style to run this deck. And honestly, I don't know too much about it really. Because I haven't really done my research on this deck, which is Cyber Dragons. I'm only going to mention this because my buddy Lucky Charms, he keeps telling me about this deck and how good it is, and they're getting new support, and he wants to build it, trying to hype it up on me. I'm that guy that doesn't really get hyped up on decks unless I know for a fact that the deck's going to do something. I don't know if Cyber Dragons are ever going to do anything, even with their new support that's going to be coming out in the horizon. My only thing would be is do your research. I'm going to be doing mine. It's just Cyber Dragons has never been a deck I was ever interested in, even with the Infinity that came out. When the Infinity was a thing, I never got into it. I rather had my Clifford Infinity plays. The two scouts, or the scout in the monolith and in the Infinity. That was the only way I made Infinity. I never used Cyber Dragons. So if you don't like any of the other decks I mentioned, you did your research, you don't like them, then I would check out Cyber Dragons. Maybe that's a deck you like. It's not a bad deck. I'm not saying it is by any means. It's not a bad deck, but it's just not my deck I like to use. So, and I understand some of these are probably not going to be road decks. They're probably going to be meta, but we don't know how the meta is going to change. We don't know what they're going to do. So, I'm under the assumption that these decks haven't seen the light of day yet, besides World Chalice. But World Chalice hasn't really affected the meta game that much. So I think that might change. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, but I'm telling you right now, they're cheap. They're like, I know, I'm not saying they're dirt cheap, but they're cheap. So pick them up now, because if they do become meta, then you're going to bite yourself in the ass. All right, thank you for watching my video. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you guys think. You guys agree with the list? Is there certain? I mean, I'm sure I missed some decks. Let me know what I missed. The other viewers know what I missed. I'm sure I missed a few decks here. And hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel so you guys get those daily uploads that I'm going to try to do. And you got hit the notifications so you guys know when I do upload. Alright, talk to you guys later.